Great. Okay, well, I'm going to start. This is the homepage. This is the homepage of our website once you log in. But I'm going to just start by taking it back a little bit to talk about kind of the history of AI sports, because we weren't always Web3. I actually started AI sports because I'm a big fantasy basketball fan, and I just got the idea one day to basically create an AI algorithm using some of Google's services to predict a fantasy player's score for any given day, because I wanted to use it for my daily fantasy lineups. And then once I did it and it was working, I decided to create a website based on those recommendations. Basically, this was totally Web 2, just to kind of like sign up and get, what our AI algorithm is predicting. And I launched that in October of 2021. But about a month or two before launch, I wasn't really into crypto at all, but I got really into it because of the whole 2021 NFT boom thing. Top Shot kind of sparked a lot of that, and there was all the other NFTs that came out after that. So after I launched, I kind of was facing a dilemma of whether I want to stick with a Web 2 daily fantasy sports site or kind of pivot and try to develop basically what a daily fantasy sports site could look like in Web 3. And obviously I went the Web 3 route, and I took my demo to ETH Denver 4 years ago now, in 2022, so 3 years ago. And I got a 50K launch grant from the Harmony One blockchain. And 3 months later, I had a full working version ready for the NBA Finals. And so that went pretty well. I was getting ready to ramp up for the next season to really do a big marketing push. And a week after the NBA Finals, Harmony One got hacked for $100 million. My 50K grant went to less than 3K. And I was kind of I don't know what I'm going to do. I have this complete working product. Maybe I should start looking at blockchains. And then Dapper, someone from the ecosystem, reached out and said, hey, we think your product would actually work really well alongside NBA Top Shot, and we'll give you 50K worth of Dapper credit to reward your user with. And I'm like, okay, well, that's amazing. So that's how it started. And now we're on our third full season with Dapper and Flow. And we have a ton of features that I'll walk you through, but I really want to start just kind of in the very beginning. So in the very beginning, we could only log in with Dapper Wallet, and there wasn't any juice. So we'll talk a little bit more about juice. That's our in-game currency. There wasn't any of that. The only thing we would do was check to make sure you owned NBA Top Shot NFTs, and if you did, you were able to enter our contests, and you could win Dapper credit, and we were giving away Dapper credit every day. For our daily fantasy contests. So if you're not familiar with daily fantasy, let's just dive in. This is kind of the core piece of our app right here, is a daily fantasy game. It runs every day, and basically the way it works is you get a salary. So right here, you'll get 50K, and you choose a team of 5 players based on the salaries that my app gives, the different players who are playing today. And this is how I use my AI algorithm, actually. I still use it to assign salaries to every single person. A lot of other DFS apps use what is FanDuel's salaries, because they're big established sites. But we're actually building our salaries organically, which is great because we don't have to rely on anybody else. We just do it ourselves. So I'm going to go through and just put in a lineup really quick. Just like an NBA team, you need 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a center. So I know it's 50K, so I'm just going to go straight up to these 10K people, so I can just really build an easy lineup here. So we'll just add a center, point guard, Paul George is a forward, Kyle Kuzma is a forward, and this Norm Powell. Even though he's questionable, in a real game you might not want to use someone who's questionable because they might get called out. And one guy I didn't add, so let's add. You can also see here that I have 11K left of salary, so now I'm okay, I know I need a forward. I have 11K left of salary. Let me just find a forward at 11K, if there is such a thing. Here we go, Evan Mobley, power forward. Perfect. We'll add him to the lineup. Why is he not added? Okay. There we go. Okay, it just locked a little bit. Okay, so that's my lineup, and I can finalize my roster. So this was the original app. One thing we ended up adding later on in the app was NFT boosts. So later on in the app, we ended up changing it so that instead of earning Dapper credit, and now Dapper doesn't give us credit anymore, we switched it over to our own in-game currency called Juice. So you can see the Juice payouts here. You get 100 ounces. The total payout for this contest is 100 ounces. And then depending on what place you get, there's a different prize pool. And with Juice, you can mint AiSports NFTs. So what our NFTs actually do, they are AI-generated images, and you can actually tell the progression from the early AI images, which are pretty rudimentary, to this is actually not even the latest. Here, this Tim Duncan. This is the last generation. So there's actually newer generation of AI stability AI model that we use to generate the latest batch of NFTs that are even better than this one. But what we ended up doing with the NFT is it kind of adds a boost to your lineup. So you can choose based on any of your NFTs, and it'll add a boost to a player in your lineup. So I'm going to choose Tim Duncan. He's going to give me 1.3x points and +7 on my rebounds for my stats that day. And he's a rare card, so he also gives me plus 10% on my total player points. So I'm going to go ahead and activate that. And then now that it's activated, you can see in my lineup, he's there and ready to go with all his boosts. And then it gives you a final confirmation screen and and we're entered into the contest. Does someone have a question? Okay, all right, I'll keep going. So this is the enter contest screen. So you're entered into the contest. I'll give you a little bit more about contests. Is you can check the history of all of your different contests, and so you can see here I've been playing. This is actually not my main account. You can see the live and upcomings where I could go and edit the contest that I just entered if I want to. We also have a leaderboard for how much juice you've earned through the season or through the week. And actually, so this is our rewards that we get from Dapper now, our Grail Seeker packs. And so we based the Grail Seeker packs based on how much you've won over a 7-day period, and the top people on the leaderboard get the top amount of packs. So we give away 100 Grail Seeker packs every single week based on the top 50 players who play AiSports. So that's a good incentive. A lot of people play probably just for that, but we also try to add our own value. A little bit more about the NFTs. So I'm going to go through the NFT minting process a little bit later because we just got it working with EVM. So I want to show you guys it working on EVM. But this is the NFT screen. You can see all your NFTs. And if you had enough juice, you need 45 ounces of juice, you can mint another NFT. So right now, I haven't been doing too well. I don't have that much juice. So I'm not able to mint an NFT. But that's okay. We'll get to it later. So basically, that was my app probably the first year. I think we launched NFTs first part of the second season. But then we started deciding, okay, well, maybe we want to launch Juice as a token on the blockchain. The issue we had was that Dapper Wallet doesn't allow, and 99% of our users use Dapper Wallet, and Dapper Wallet doesn't allow other tokens. So we had to figure out, okay, how can we convert a lot of our users to using Flow Wallet instead of Dapper Wallet so we can come out with Juice? So now I'll go through, so we added Flow Wallet login. So I'll go ahead and log in with Flow Wallet here. You might not be able to see the pop-ups, but all you guys know the Flow Wallet login process. So I'm going to log in just with my Flow Wallet. And now we were able to come out with Juice. So we did an airdrop, and we incentivized a bunch of people to create a Flow Wallet in order to get the Juice airdrop. And here's where we were able to actually utilize account linking. Because we needed a way to tell exactly who do you own your Dapper wallet, because we were giving an airdrop based on how much you won in your Dapper wallet, and that's a perfect use case for account linking. So now we check the user's Flow wallet and see if they're linked to a Dapper wallet, and if they are, if this was my first time to sign in, it would actually prompt me to merge right as soon as I logged in, but it's not my first time, obviously, so I can go here to my account page and I can go to merge linked accounts. And we don't actually need a button. We could automatically merge if we wanted to, but we want to give the user a little bit of maybe they had another account already and they don't want to merge, whatever, that's fine with us. So we're going to go ahead and merge accounts. And this is just going to say that all of your NFTs, all of your juice, your in-game juice, all of your contest history is going to be merged. So now we're pulling from both of your wallets to see what your histories are, to see what your NFTs are. You might have been able to see here my juice balance updated, and it added the 3 that I had into my Dapper wallet that I was just showing you guys. And then I also have on-chain juice because it's reading on-chain and seeing how much actual juice that I have. So now we can go to this juice claim page, and you can, basically what we did is we have in-game juice, which is on our servers, but now you're able to claim your juice and make it juice on the Flow blockchain, which we'll show you what the benefit of that is soon. But I'll just show you, okay, we can claim some juice if we want. You can see our on-chain balance is 14. I'm just going to claim one for now because I don't want to offset it too much. I don't want to claim too much juice for myself. So this is all happening in the back end. So this is another kind of like Flow feature, is we're using like the payer authorizer functionality on the back end to actually send it. We have like I call it a front end agent account, and it just sits there and waits, and checks to make sure you have enough in-game juice. It deducts your in-game juice and sends you an NFT on the back end. So the user here actually doesn't have to accept any kind of transaction or anything like that. So now our latest feature with juice, you can mint NFTs with on-chain juice if you'd like. So you can go here, and if I had enough on-chain juice, I would be able to mint an NFT with on-chain juice or with your in-game juice, because we don't want to take that feature away from Dapper users. So it's a little confusing to get used to, but it's the best way that we can still work with the Dapper wallet, but also work with all the Flow wallets. And juice on the blockchain is obviously the preferred method of kind of interacting in the game. But one thing now that we can do with juice is, over the summer, I built basically an escrow contract. And that escrow contract is specifically built for fantasy sports. So it holds a bunch of tokens, and then you send it in an array, and it'll pay out tokens to a bunch of addresses. And now, so that we integrated our contests with our on-chain juice, which uses the escrow contract to hold everybody's juice and then disperse at the end of the game. We don't have as many players for this, obviously, because not everybody wants to pay juice. But by the end of the day, we'll get to 25 or 30 players in this contest. I have the option of pasting my roster here, so that's what I'm going to do. That'll just save your last roster that you submitted. It saves, and you can go and paste it into your lineup. I'm going to add a boost again because why would I not? And I have a lot of NFTs on this account, so I'm going to go ahead and add a LeBron James to my forward. I'll finalize the roster. So this is transacting on the blockchain. So we're going to enter the team, and it's going to pull up. I don't think you guys can see it, but it's going to pull up a transaction on the wallet. I'm going to approve it, and it's going to take 5 of my on-chain juice and put it into the escrow contract in the pool. And this takes a little bit of time because it is waiting for the confirmation from the blockchain, but it's really actually not that bad. That was probably 5 or 6 seconds. And then you can see everyone who's entered. And our goal for this is to scale it up, because our prizes can go way, way higher once more people enter this, and we're not just straight giving away juice, because the idea for the whole app is to give away less juice than we get to spend, to receive more than we spend, basically. So this is one step towards that. I got some other cool stuff coming on the way. I guess that's the alpha here, is I'm working on a way to do some composability on top of NBA Top Shot's fast break games. Integrate that with my escrow contract, so now you're able to, probably won't call it that, but you'll be able to put in some flow for your lineup, and then if you win, the escrow contract will automatically go and pay out the winners of that contest. So I think that'll be exciting. I really want to work on it, but we got a lot of ETH Denver stuff coming up, so I think after ETH Denver it'll probably come out. All right, I'm almost done. The last thing I want to show you guys is EVM login. This is a feature we came out with about 2 weeks ago, because now you can log in with your EVM wallet. So I'm going to log in with my Coinbase wallet. And as soon as this loads, you probably can't see this either. But this is really cool because now we can connect, we're using EVM on Flow, but anyone, it's going to be really great, honestly, for ETH Denver because, now we don't have to ask people to download a new wallet or do anything like that. You can come in your MetaMask and just play our game, which is going to be awesome. And it automatically switches you to EVM on Flow. I could enter the contest here too. I'm not going to do it because we've already seen all that. But here's where I'll kind of show you the minting process. So we have a little backstory of like, okay, you're on Mars. You've come across these beings, which are the NFTs. And so you can come in here once you get enough juice and mint an NFT. So I'll go ahead and mint an NFT. And this is actually doing the same thing. We're not having to accept any kind of transaction. We're using we're using the same front end agent as we do for the Cadence side, but we have a COA account. So it's basically controlling a COA account, put a bunch of NFTs and juice into, and it's just calling a transfer function on the COA account to transfer it to your EVM account. This one does take a little bit longer, but it wasn't too bad. But it does take longer because it takes longer for me to pull the blockchain on the EVM side and get the result that, okay, you have a new NFT. So it's basically checking until it can see that you do have a new NFT in your account. But yeah, I don't know which one I got. Probably this Lillard, which is a legendary. I'm going to put that back in. I don't need that myself, and that's a good pool to have a legendary. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much all the functionality we have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, CJ, for sharing us this. This is a pretty impressive demo. You have a lot of things, so I'm very impressed. I'm wondering, I guess others can also tune in, on mute if you have questions, or just write in the chat. But I do have some. For instance, now that you have built your app for years, what do you feel that you have learned from building your project, and what advice would you give other builders?
Oh wow, that's that's a tough question. I should actually think about that more. So what I've learned, I mean, my mantra has always been just keep shipping features. As long as I'm having fun and at a regular cadence, no pun intended, shipping new features, that keeps things really exciting for me. I try not to chase a lot of the meta and stuff like that. I'm not much of a meme coiner. Maybe it would help because I do have a coin now, and I do think having some people like that close to me could be helpful because that's not really my personality as much, hyping up meme coins or coins of any kind really. So I just stick to the fundamentals. But I really think just getting in and just building and shipping things regularly will pay off. And I mean, for me, obviously, I've been able to do this because the support on Flow has been amazing. And so I can just trust that if I continue to build and continue to, ship things that matter or that are that use the functionality of the blockchain well, that I can, I'll still be able to continue doing this for a while.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome to hear. It's actually a pretty, I would say, pretty rare trait to have in the space, to focus on fundamentals when there's so much noise out there. Well, I guess another thing would also just be, since you have so many on-chain features on Flow, would you mind sharing what do you like with building on Flow? What specifically do you think sticks out?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so I copied my way to a lot of my original functionality, NFTs, right? Because I was hesitant to learn Cadence. I mean, I started on the EVM side. My first demo, which was kind of a lot more blockchain intensive. I was minting every single lineup as an NFT, was all on the Polygon. So I was pretty deep into the EVM side of things. So once I came to Flow, it was all okay, well, let me just copy and paste my way to. I was hesitant to learn Cadence, and I was let me copy and paste my way to a working app. And that worked for so long. But when I decided to build my escrow contract, that I couldn't copy my way to that. So I really like sat down and actually learned Cadence, and now that I know it, it's pretty cool. The resource management is awesome. Also, like, shout out to a lot of people on here. Like, it's really easy for me to reach out, and if I'm stuck, and get answers like within a day, which is pretty awesome for like a free service, basically. So that's helped a lot, because there is a lot where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but you can get an answer pretty fast. But yeah, now that I know Cadence, it's pretty great. Like, it works really well. I like it more than coding on the EVM side with Solidity. The escrow contract is like, kind of showed me that things can be really flexible, and I can do things like as I need to and build new features on top of it. Like, this whole Top Shot thing is going to require some new functionality, but I'm not worried about it because I know what the capabilities, no pun intended, of Cadence are. So yeah, I think that's been really cool. And honestly, I would prefer to continue to code on Cadence than Solidity. So I'm hoping Flow gets as big as we all can hope and dream.
I think your answer just made a lot of people here very happy. So that's awesome to hear, man.
I've got a question. I'm really impressed by what you've done with the AI image generation for those NFTs, and I've been struggling with, I think, a similar problem where, I tell ChatGPT to have DALL-E make me an image of a futuristic soldier holding a sniper rifle, and it says sure, and create something beautiful. And then I say, okay, in the same style, make me one that's holding a rocket launcher, and it's not at all usable or whatnot. So can you share a little more about the image model that you're using and how you're able to get it so consistent with those images and the same category?
Yeah, for sure. So it did take some time. I used Stable Diffusion to start off, and I started I don't remember what version. It's 2 years ago. So which doesn't sound like that long, but
oh yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah, that's insane. And I'm just always surprised because I basically just replenish the NFTs as I need them. I make 1,000 at a time, and eventually we'll cap it off at 10,000. But we're only at 3,500 right now, so we still got some time. But yeah, so it started with the first generation, and it's I watched a lot of image generation tutorial YouTube videos, as well as read some articles, and I created a spreadsheet. And on the spreadsheet, it was scene, scenario, play, every row, scene, scenario, player. I do them in different, there's 5 different scenes. So it's jungle, city, town, right, mountains, desert. And then sometimes I'll take so I just played with it a lot. Okay, for desert, sometimes I throw Tatooine from Star Wars because I want to give it some futuristic buildings and stuff like that. And then I wrote a little Node.js script that kind of just took all these permutations and just makes all a different sentence basically that I can feed into a image generation model. And it just creates a sentence out of all these different options that I have for every row, every category in there. And at first, for my first 1,000, did 10,000 images, and it was a lot of time, just floating through a bunch of images to get the good ones. So it was about a 10% success rate. But also, image generation was way cheaper than it is today, so it wasn't that big a deal, except for on my time.
Got it. So those aren't being created on demand. You're curating from a larger set that it creates to pick the best one for each player in each category?
Yes. Yeah. So I'll have it make a ton, and then I'll put it in a folder, and I'll literally just go through it. But now, I think it's almost 50%. Maybe I won't say 50. Maybe I'll say 30. It's way better. And every time I'm creating images, I'll print out on my terminal, this is the prompt. And then I'll generate 10 images for that prompt, and then I'll go through So it's just kind of honing to, because like I'll be like, okay, Tatooine from Star Wars is not doing great because I'm getting too many guns. And like I don't need guns, and I'll put some negative prompts there. So every time I'll kind of like fine tune my spreadsheet basically of like all the different words and categories that I'm using. So it has kind of developed over the years, but I've still used 90% of what I originally built with kind of like this spreadsheet and these different categories, and probably like 5 options for 10 different categories. And I can make so many different permutations of NFTs based on that, especially when I have 30 different players. So I still use that today.
Yeah. Got it. Awesome. Thank you. That's super helpful. I'll have to give Stable Diffusion a try. That's one that I haven't experimented with it yet. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I really like Stable. As I mentioned, price is a little bit higher now, but whatever. I mean, it's really not that bad for generating 1,000 like high quality images for me.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah.
Yeah. So another question is that what's like what would you say is one of the hardest technical challenges that you have experienced so far when building your app?
Oh wow, hardest technical. I mean, it's hard to say. There's always like, everything you learn new, there's always some kind of challenge. When I first getting my first NFTs going was pretty hard technically for me because I'd never seen cadence before really, and I wasn't 100% sure what I was doing. And it was really, so this also, converting an in-game currency that exists on my servers to an NFT and doing that in a secure way and sending it and handling all the error cases. I look back and I'm like, okay, I did probably a little too much. I over-engineered it a bit because I still look at it like, I could make this code a little bit better now. But that was probably my first like major challenge, and just getting it, looking at a new code base. And now, I just made it so that within the last couple months, I just wrote a small contract where you can exchange juice on the blockchain, the token, for an NFT. And that's like 1,000 times easier than writing all the software where I have to handle all the errors and everything like that, to actually just letting the blockchain do all the work. That was kind of a light bulb moment for me. It was like, I don't need to be managing all this. In some sense I do, because we still have Dapper wallets and I still have to do the in-game juice thing. But I'm going to push users to just, do everything on chain. And when I'm building in the future, I'm going to try to do as I can on chain, because I don't have to worry about state management. Transaction failures is just like try again, versus in if I have it in my database, I got to go replenish the person's juice and replenish, the status of the NFT. So I've just come to, I know this is a tangent, but I've just come to realize like, it is nice to have the blockchain to be able to do state management and stuff like that. But there's probably like for every feature I build, I could probably give you an example of a technical challenge that I've come across, but that was probably one of the first really big ones that I had to spend a lot of time working on.
Got it. And I think this also sort of maybe leads to the next question, answers the next question, but like, what do you wish was easier when building on Flow?
That's a hard one too. It is like, for me, I had pretty much only done JavaScript and Solidity programming for a while. So, it did take a little bit of time to just ramp up and, learn cadence and really kind of get a grasp of, the resources and managing resources and everything like that. But, the docs are pretty good. I'm not really complaining about it. It's just, I guess that could be easier if maybe there was a class. I don't even know how it could be easier, but it would have been maybe a little bit nicer to just be able to learn that faster. But that's true for pretty much everything.
If I try to interrupt to jump in, but I recently updated the first 7 or 8 or so of the Learn Cadence tutorials, and so I'd love any feedback from you or anyone else if you haven't had a chance to look at that, to see if that does feel like it makes that journey a little bit easier. I know it's always hard to know for sure when you know it now, but I'd love any feedback on that or any suggestions or pointers for future material.
Yeah, for sure. So that's, I think I just saw the link. So that's the Cadence Lang docs that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's hopefully to be easier to learn Cadence. Get your feet wet with it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll go take a look and let you know if it stands out. But I still use the docs all the time, obviously, while I'm building.
Yeah, so
they're generally pretty great.
So normally you use developers flow.com, right?
Yeah, so I guess my debug process, I'll actually use I'll use the AI, and I know like I usually can't copy code 100% with the AI, but it does a pretty good job of like kind of high level what I need to do. If I can't figure it out from there, I will use the Cadence Lang. It'll either point me to what I need, depending on what I need, and sometimes it's on developers.flow.com. Like managing like transaction states and stuff like that. But sometimes I need to know, like, I'm looking at like, how am I gonna like sort this dictionary or something like that. So that I'll go through and go to Cadence Lang and see if I can figure it out there. And then my last step will be jumping on the Discord if I need help from there.
Right. Okay. Thank you for sharing. I think like one thing that I'm very curious about is also like, since your project has like a lot of like impressive features such as like account linking and just like how you use transactions in your backend, like is your project open source? And if not, like, have you considered making your GitHub repo open source?
It's not open source right now. I haven't really considered it. I mean, it is kind of like a startup in a way where I am trying to like be financially successful with it. So there is obviously, I know open source is great in the long run. I could consider it more, or I could consider even like just, I don't know if I get open source specific pieces of it, like how I do the account linking and things like that. But I mean, it is, pretty big, there's a lot of different components to it. So it's something I can consider, but right now, open source.
Yeah, that's totally
obviously.
Yeah, and I just wanted to highlight like making code public and encouraging people to contribute to it and grow like the ecosystem in that way. It doesn't always necessarily require you to make public your proprietary stuff. And I have been cooking with CJ to see if we can have some public oriented like first issues or PRs related to like agents or projects in general. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you submitted to the ETH Denver hackathon like a open source or public contribution proposal. I might be misremembering that, but
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they're definitely involved and contribute. Just wanted to flag that.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the asterisk. Like, yeah, if there's features like this is a great example. The AI agent, like I can if it needs to access data from AiSports, I can just make like an API that it can call into. But the rest of the code, that's cool. Like honestly, it's Eliza on Flow. 90% of it is Eliza on Flow. So that's fine. I can make that a whole separate project that is open source. I'm happy to do that with like parts of the project as well, where it makes sense.
Cool.
I wanted to interject and go on a little bit of a side tangent if possible. So lots of exciting things happening in ETH Denver, and we're putting together like a day for scholar run events. Don't want to put you on the spot. Don't have to answer now. Just wanted to flag the opportunity if you are down to click on like kind of AI sports fantasy meetup or side event. Like I'd definitely be excited to see how we could set something like that up. Just wanted to throw that out there in case like you were interested in that or had any other like side event ideas you were passionate about.
Yeah, for sure. I hadn't thought about like a specific like event like AI sports, like people talk about talk about your lineups or whatever, your NFTs. That would be that's
like
cool.
Even fantasy sports, if that is your target market, might be interesting. Having a side event just for fantasy sports fans or things like that.
Yes. Yeah, fantasy sports, NBA type or NBA fantasy. I mean, I'm also this is how I got started. I play a lot of fantasy basketball like that. I still love to play fantasy basketball. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Also, like, we should talk, because I am going through, like doing a demo like this, or even having like a panel, like, what features of Flow are really great for consumer app developers, something like that.
I freaking love it. All right, I'll DM you to see how we could cook a little bit more on that.
Cool. Yeah, that's perfect.
Cool.
I had a question about.
Yeah, you can go.
I just wanted to add a question about learning cadence. You had mentioned that it felt kind of unfamiliar. I guess it's to be expected with every programming language when you're learning a new one. But I feel like, at least just in my experience of like thinking back to having learned cadence, it felt like at some point there was something about the paradigm that clicked, that felt like it clicked for me. And I'm wondering if it felt like there was something that helped you finally like really feel like you had like a really solid grasp of cadence.
Oh, it's hard to like pinpoint an exact moment. I mean, once I kind of understood like, resource management and, how that works, that was definitely, I remember coming into Cadence and just like not coming into the Flow ecosystem and just not really 100% understanding like the account model, and that, I don't know why, it's just, now it seems so simple, but like how, because in Solidity, like the contract, the address is the contract, but here the account owns the contract. So that was like very beginning. Okay, like once I started like learning it holistically. I will say, I feel like thinking about a clicking moment is when I was building the escrow contract. Every escrow is a resource. And then there was just a moment in time where I realized, okay, like this could also just be an NFT. Oh, like an NFT is a resource as well. I can do anything with this escrow that I can do with an NFT. And I feel like that, if I had to pinpoint a moment, that was probably like a big clicking moment. Like I can do so much with these things because I was able to relate it to something that I did really know a lot about, which is NFTs. So yeah, I think that's what I would say.
I see. So it sounds like there was maybe even a little friction because of existing mental models from like EVM, and the real concept is like truly understanding resources. And it sounds like it was helpful to kind of map that to something that most people are familiar with in like any ecosystem, which is NFTs.
For sure. Yeah. I think that was like, just realizing like, because it is mentally, I know what I can tease, I can transfer them, I can keep them, I can, with kids, I can provide access to them to certain people. And then it's like, okay, I can, this resource it's not an NFT, it doesn't use the NFT standard, but I can use it in similar ways. I can do so many things with it. And I guess, like you were saying, mapping that to something that's more familiar, especially to people in crypto, was helpful.
Cool. The other question I had is seeing as you recently integrated EVM, and it sounds like you're doing some interesting things with moving the NFTs and the juice into EVM to transfer to the recipient. Like how did you find that process? Did you get hung up on anything in particular? Like, did you find it pretty easy? Anything that could be improved on that front?
Okay, so I was super naive in the beginning, thinking that I could just like somehow magically like wrap my Cadence transactions and contracts into like some kind of magical EVM contract. I don't even know how it worked. It just in my head, I was like, app what I have, on Cadence, and it'll just work on EVM. I didn't really think through a lot of it, right? And then I started kind of like diving into how to actually do that, and it's like, okay, really possible. So I did have to think about how am I going to do it. It wasn't too, once I figured it out, I was like, okay, I'm just a Cadence own account that just owns a bunch of NFTs and juice, and that'll be my kind of like my agent, what I call it, and that'll distribute it. From there, it did take a little bit of like learning, and I do feel like maybe The docs. Okay, so this is the docs on developers.flow.com about maybe doing EVM transactions with the Cadence owned account. If to me it felt a little like over complicated, but I was trying to do a very specific thing. I was just trying. All I needed to do was call the transfer from ERC 721 function from a Cadence owned account. But I remember, and I have to look back. It was a few weeks ago now, but I remember kind of looking at the docs and like the call to like to call EVM transactions just seemed like, I don't even remember exactly what was on there, but there was a lot of like code and stuff like that. So I ended up going to the AI and being able to do, and that got me a few steps closer. And then I just needed to kind of understand the model a little bit, but I ended up just making my own Cadence transaction that controls the COA to do the transfer from function in Solidity. And there was some playing around there with gas values, and I think I reached out on Discord a few times when I was having issues with that. And I got, again, like Discord has been super helpful whenever I get stuck on things like that. So yeah, for me, it would be nice to maybe have like a little more documentation on, because I'm going to want to do a lot more with this actually, is I do want to like transfer more. I'm going to have Juice on EVM. Juice exists on EVM, but it's not on my front end, so I'm not moving right now. So I'm going to want to do a lot more with that. And yeah, I just remember kind of looking at the docs. This seems like overkill for what I'm trying to do. So I had to scale back a little bit and figure it out. I know that's not like super specific feedback, but that's kind of like.
No, that's actually really helpful because, transferring ERC20s, ERC721s is like, that's what a lot of applications are going to need. So having a specific example transaction in the docs for how to do that using a COA would be really helpful rather than like, I don't know, some generic boilerplate.
Yeah, and I'm happy to like share my. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I'm happy to share my I end up, I'm sure you guys have too. But yeah, I end up just writing it. It's easy once you kind of figure it out. It's really not hard. But I'm happy to share my transactions or anything on that.
Yeah, something I would add here with the EVM stuff and Cadence EVM interoperability sort of stuff you were talking about is we have a flip that we're working on right now that's aiming to consolidate wallet sessions and make tooling a little bit more interoperable across Cadence and EVM environments. So what that means is like functionally, like you were talking about, you needed to write some sort of Cadence wrapper transaction to interact with EVM and run some EVM transaction, and you're trying to pass these ABIs and whatever through Cadence arguments, and it's not in your familiar tooling. So that's a bit finicky right now, but what we're doing is we're making it so that you can connect with a Cadence wallet and you can use it inside of EVM tooling through like an emulated provider, emulated Ethereum provider that interacts with that Flow wallet's COA. So that would cover your cases there when it comes to like Blockto and other Flow native wallets being able to interact with the EVM as normal. Going the other way, like for Cadence applications interacting with EVM wallets is kind of something we've been thinking about a bit as well. But lots of discussions there and thought needs to go into that, and that's kind of our next step.
That sounds great. Yeah. So I'll definitely check it out once you guys have it out, and if it makes, I guess it sounds like it's making interacting with the COA account easier from Cadence-based wallets like Blockto or Flow.
Yeah, it's kind of like a twofold thing. It's trying to kill two birds with one stone, and one of the birds is that interacting with these wallets that weren't quote unquote compatible with EVM before, but the other is also that it only needs to connect to one session with the wallet, which is through FCL, and then it emulates the EVM session. And what that means is you get one consolidated session where you only connect to your wallet once, like for wallets that support both sides, i.e. Flow wallet. You'd connect to your wallet once, and then you're able to interact with that user's account directly using both EVM native and Cadence native, i.e. FCL tooling.
Nice. Yeah, that does seem really helpful, actually. So yeah, I'll definitely check it out once you guys have a release.
Cool.
Sounds good.
CJ, thank you so much for the demo and answering all the questions. I think, it's like it warms my heart personally when I hear like how well you articulate like the benefits and of Cadence. Like it's just amazing to hear. I know also like especially Bastian, who has been leading the Cadence team. He's been working so hard for like many years. So just hearing your words, the way like just all like the whole value proposition of Flow blockchain and like the Cadence smart contract language. I think it's really beautiful articulated. So thank you for sharing this, and again thank you for the demo. I definitely hope that we can help support you as continue support you with all the Discord support whenever you need, and also just other stuff. Me and Ali, we will definitely connect with you and talk more. I think I'll please.
I was just gonna say, thank you for letting me, come on and talk. Obviously, I love to show what I've done, what I've been working on, and then you guys have done a great job. I mean, sure, it's not easy building a blockchain and a smart contract programming language and supporting it and supporting development, but it turned out pretty well so far, and I hope we can get more people on the bandwagon. But thanks for all the support and everything throughout the years. So appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys, and thanks everyone for tuning in for the office hours, and let's keep building. Cheers, guys.
Let's go.